Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Oh shit, y'all like my new sound? It's about to get real in here with this. Run that intro.
You're listening to a Holyfield podcast.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I used Anchor to distribute this very episode, and so that all the amazing listeners on the number one podcast in your headphones can enjoy Prem Brulee on whatever platform they prefer. I love how easy Anchor makes it to edit and post episodes. So, if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. I can't wait to hear your podcast. All right, welcome back, listeners, to the number one podcast in your headphones, Prem Brulee. I'm your host, Premal of Holyfield. And without further ado, let's get started on Yeah Fam or Nah. And you know, we've been doing it, only a few more weeks left, but this one's no different. Week 15 in the NFL, Yeah Fam or Nah. Couple headlines to cover. The Steelers got a huge win at home versus the Patriots and hold on to the lead in the AFC North by just a measly half game. The Texans won, and that aforementioned Patriots loss means that the Texans, if the playoffs ended today, would have a first-round bye, and for the first time since 2009, the New England Patriots would be playing in Wild Card Weekend. Another thing worth mentioning, the Texans reached 10 wins for the first time in Bill O'Brien's 5 years as head coach. Of course, we can't forget about a huge Thursday night victory by the Los Angeles Chargers over their division rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, 29-28. They were down 14 with under 4 minutes to play and converted a go-ahead 2-point conversion, a wide open one with 4 seconds left on the clock, to Mike Williams. Sorry in advance for you fantasy owners that left him on your bench. No one would have saw that one coming. The Chargers, while getting the win, clinched a playoff spot. They are currently tied with the Chiefs at 11-3, but the Chiefs hold the tiebreaker because of their superior division record. And with a 12-9 victory on Monday night, yes, you heard that correctly, a game featuring Drew Brees and Cam Newton finished with a final score of 12-9. The Saints are now one win away from clinching the number one seed in the NFC after their victory over the Panthers, who are just now reeling after starting 6-2. They've now lost 6 straight, which is pretty crazy. Overall, I'm a Yeah fam. This week was painful for me personally, but it's starting to heat up and all the playoff races are at stake. It seems like there's very little that's been clinched so far other than a couple of division or playoff spots, and it's shaping up to be quite a great last 2 weeks of the regular season. So I'm looking forward to it. And those of you fans that are already looking forward to the draft, I've been there. Just stick it out. Careful what you wish for. You don't get any football for another almost 1 year, so enjoy it while it lasts. Okay, before we move back to the NFL, I wanted to cover the NBA a little bit. So, don't want to cover this team. You know how it goes.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
But they're a necessary evil, evidently. Yeah fam or not to taking the field over the Golden State Warriors this year. So, you get the 29 teams besides the Golden Snake Warriors. Are you taking that bet? Yeah fam or not? Currently, the Warriors are second in the West and are roughly the fourth best team in the league. The Raptors, Nuggets, and Bucks, along with the Indiana Pacers, are all around that area of top in the NBA so far. Am I taking the field over the Warriors? Play my new toy.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Hell yeah, I'm taking the field. Fuck that team. It's as good of a time as ever to remind everyone that Kevin Durant has 0 rings, and I only recognize one of their titles. More on that later, but I'm taking the field. You heard it here first. Not surprising. Nobody wants to see the Warriors win. Maybe their fans don't even want to. So I don't know if there's such thing as a Warriors fan per se, but
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Captain and Team Petty, I'll allow it. I'll allow that comment. Yeah, so fuck the Golden Snake Warriors. I'm taking the field. Give me the field over them. Me 29 other teams, and we'll see how it goes. I sure hope I'm right. Might end up being wrong, but either way, I hope this team breaks up. And this year will be no different. I refuse to recognize any rings. If DeMarcus Cousins gets himself one, it'll be as if he has 0 again.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
All right. Last one before I wrap up, yeah, fame or nah. With the NFL season winding down, of course I mentioned that a lot of playoff spots are still up for grabs and nothing has been decided yet. However, there are some teams that already know that they won't be attending the postseason, and with that comes this discussion. Yeah, fame or not, to star quarterbacks on teams with nothing left to play, playoff-wise, should sit the last few weeks. They should be rested and protected, their health being protected. It's widely known that players do not enjoy having a rehab over the summer, would much rather be working out and getting better for the following year. Yeah, fame or not, to star quarterbacks getting rest, while I understand a quarterback is already given more attention and they probably want to be one of the team, I gotta say yeah, fam, to resting quarterbacks before risking injury. I know they can potentially get hurt any other time, but especially in a case of, say, Cam Newton, they had to put a backup in just to throw a deep pass. This dude is hurting. The Panthers' chances are slim to none. They need to just shut it down for the season, get him right, get him a head start in getting him right. Same with Aaron Rodgers. Last thing you want is a nightmare of him having to rehab while you bring in a new head coach. So I'm a yeah fan to this concept. As shitty as it is, they do it with almost every other position, so why not quarterback? Any other twisted ankle becomes now a season-ending IR designation for players. So I'm a yeah fan to this. Quarterback should be no different. And yes, they are treated differently, but that's because it's the most important position in probably all of sports. All right, time for likey, no likey, and hate it. A couple of things I liked, disliked, and absolutely hated from the week. First up is a likey to the Indiana Pacers hiring the first female assistant general manager in franchise history and NBA history, Kelly Krauskopf. Krauskopf will work with the Pacers basketball operations staff, including president of basketball operations Kevin Pritchard, GM Chad Buchanan, and assistant GM Peter Dinwiddie. A couple things worth noting. Major League Baseball has had 2 women assistant GMs, including a current New York Yankees executive, Gene Afterman, and a former LA Dodgers executive, Kim Ng. There are several rising female executives in the NBA, but Krauskopf will be the first at the assistant GM level. She comes with quite the resume. She had been president and GM of the WNBA's Indiana Fever for 17 years. She had just recently relinquished the GM duties in 2017 to oversee the Pacers' new esports entry into the NBA 2K League. And she's also had a significant role with the women's U.S. basketball national team, playing a part in the selection process of 3 gold medal winning teams. She is going to be relinquishing her WNBA and esports duties as she moves into her full-time role at the Pacers. Big time yeah fam, or big time likey to women entering the GM field. It is about time. There's so many knowledgeable people in the field. If someone's deserving, regardless of gender, they should get an opportunity. And Krauskopf seems like she's got quite the resume to warrant, more than warrant, and probably long overdue get this opportunity. So good for the Pacers for breaking the mold and starting this process. Hopefully it's the first of many to come. All right. A likey to Devin Booker tweeting at Enes Kanter almost a full year later for a tweet Cantor sent out last season suggesting that Booker, quote, hold this L, end quote.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
As captain of Team Petty, your bid, Devin Booker, to join the squad has been immediately approved. With flying colors, immediate approval. I'm a fan, likey to this pettiness and bringing back a tweet from almost a year ago. That is some head on a swivel type behavior, likey to D-Book. Never knew I liked him. My new favorite player over here. And speaking of another petty alert.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Likey to LeBron James, midair, falling out of bounds against the Miami Heat a few games ago. He had to throw it out off the opponent. He was falling out of bounds. And who did he find? Kelly Olynyk. Hit him right in the nuts. Kelly, this one is for injuring Kevin Love in 2015 and making LeBron's task of winning a title impossible in his first season back in Cleveland back then. The only championship of the Warriors that's recognized is that one in 2015, and even that one has a big fat asterisk because they got to face all injured teams, all injured point guards, and it took them 6 games to beat a Cavs who were without Kyrie Irving, got hurt in game 1, and without Kevin Love, who, as we discussed just now, Kelly Olynyk injured, ripped out his shoulder basically. So petty alert, big time. LeBron, love that you found him falling out of bounds. Wink, wink. We know you pin-seeked him. So love it. Petty alert. LeBron, one of us. I love it. Oh, it's also a good time to remind you that Kevin Durant has 0 rings.
Petty alert.
Okay. No likey to Melvin Gordon trying to apologize to us. So he tweeted, quote, "To my fantasy owners who lost without my help, I'm sorry. Crunch time in these playoffs and I couldn't come through," end quote. Nobody wants your stupid ass apology. You and some other injured players are about to come back healthy when your fantasy owners are already eliminated. And special shout out to players like Lamar Miller, Aaron Jones, and Keenan Allen who played but put up 0 points after getting hurt at the very beginning of games. Way to fucking go. You could have just sat out, and at least you would have got an opportunity to play a bench player who would have got more than 0 fucking points. Apology not accepted, Melvin, and no likey to you, sir. All right, got a couple hate-its before I wrap it up. Hate it to the NFL for putting just 2 games in the late slot. The late-day game slot on Sunday just had 2 games. So after 2 Saturday night games, the NFL decided that they would have 9 early games and just 2 late games. One of your biggest cash cows is NFL Red Zone, and you can't even make it a 7-4 split? What kind of bullshit is that in the final weeks of the NFL season? And you knew it was coming. Hate it goes to the Cowboys, who followed up a 5-game winning streak and a big overtime win by traveling to Indianapolis and got shut out by the Colts 23-0. Of course, they had an opportunity to clinch the NFC East with a win and couldn't even manage to muster up scoring a point. Season in and season out, whenever they need a big day, whenever they need a win, they come up short. And what is our common denominator recently? Jason Garrett. Can't get the team ready, can't make halftime adjustments, time and time again leaves us Cowboys fans disappointed, and the plethora of Cowboys haters just thrilled to see us in pain. Oh, and our favorite, the fucking Hot Boys, got gashed by Marlon Mack, who averaged 5.1 yards per carry, ran for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns. Fuck out of here. And we got my boy DeMarcus Lawrence tweeting little animated videos of him riding a horse in Lucas Oil Stadium. Dude, the defense didn't do shit. Yeah, the offense put up a blank, but the defense got gashed left and right. We're just out there guessing against a Colts team that is hot, but not hot enough to shut you out. And while we're at it, the Cowboys' offensive line is now 4th in holding penalties and 2nd in holding penalties on the road. And now Tyron Smith is tied for the league lead with 6 on his own. That comes from Bob Sturm, at SportsSturm, STURM. And my boy Ed Werder added that still Dak Prescott's been sacked to NFL high 51 times, even with all those holding penalties. I don't even know what to make of that. It's just everyone's fault. Everyone on the line, especially Dak Prescott, who just sits there acting like he's got 20 whole seconds in the pocket. A sitting duck back there. Has no internal clock whatsoever, no pocket presence, and just waits and invites sacks. It's so frustrating to watch. All right, time for my favorite category here. You played yourself. Some results, headlines from the sports world that probably shouldn't have happened. Have to give a you played yourself to the Phoenix Suns, Memphis Grizzlies, and Washington Wizards, who famously botched a 3-team trade. So here's a breakdown. The 3 teams accepted a trade where the Grizzlies would receive Kelly Oubre Jr., the Wizards would receive Trevor Ariza, and the Suns would receive Austin Rivers, Wayne Selden, and 2 second-round picks. And a Brooks. So, no, not a Shawshank reference here. Here's where it gets interesting. The Phoenix Suns thought they were receiving Dylan Brooks, a 22-year-old swingman who started 74 games last year for the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies insisted that they were trading Marshawn Brooks, a 29-year-old journeyman wing player. So the Grizzlies and Suns general managers made the deal through Washington's GM. It's worth noting that the Wizards GM thought it was Dylan Brooks, so sided with the Suns' interpretation. The first time Phoenix and Memphis talked was to discuss the misunderstanding, and by that point Memphis was unwilling to deal Dylan Brooks, and the trade fell apart. The Suns and Wizards, following this debacle, agreed on a trade offer themselves, where the Suns received Kelly Oubre and Austin Rivers themselves, and the Wizards received Ariza, no picks involved. Guys, I don't know what to make of this. You played yourself goes for something that seems so crazy. You're trading actual services of a human being basketball player, and you just assumed wrong on first and last names? These guys were about to uproot their lives and move mid-season, and over something so trivial you couldn't get on the phone and call each other? You played yourself big time to those 3 teams. It's just embarrassing. Okay. I can't not rant about fantasy football right now. I know everybody feels there some kind of pain in fantasy football. Whether you were a top seed and lost in the playoffs after dominating all year, you're a top point scorer but missed the playoffs, there's something to complain about no matter what. But I'm going to take a different angle here. You played yourself goes to Odell Beckham Jr., who sat out another week with a bruised quad. Listen, who am I to question an injury? Just on a couch somewhere, all the athletes like to pretend we're all at mom's house recording these in our basement, whatever they think. But you know what? Fuck that. I am about to complain about an injury by an athlete. Isn't the quad one of your biggest muscles? Shouldn't you be able to play if you just bruised it? Doesn't that seem a little ridiculous? Like, don't we bruise muscles all the time, and let alone millionaires? And beyond that, let me recall a quote Odell Beckham had from November 9th when asked about his goal for the second half of the season. The first 8 games have been played, and he got asked what his goals were, and he said, quote, win 8 games. Get in the playoffs. Giants been there before. 9-7 got to the playoffs, and I think they did pretty good. So that is the goal. It's not an easy task, but that is the goal. Win every game and do anything I can to help that. So you can, in the press, make it your goal for the team to win out, but then sit out 2 games with a bruised thigh. Get the fuck out of here, man. You said win every game and do anything I can to help that. Is anything you can sitting out with a bruised thigh? That seems a little ridiculous, don't we think? You played yourself. And a final you played yourself goes to 3 different NFL teams, and they are all in the NFC, the Los Angeles Rams, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams' 2-game losing streak has them in jeopardy of not only losing out on home field advantage in the NFC, mentioned earlier, the Saints are 1 win away from clinching the number 1 seed, but the Rams are risking missing out on even a first-round bye. If the Bears and Rams finish with the same record, currently the Rams have a one-game edge. If they finish with the same record after these next 2 weeks, the Bears have the head-to-head tiebreaker for having beat the Rams as part of this two-game losing streak. And the Rams could find themselves playing in Wild Card Weekend. Lucky whoever ends up as the number 6 seed. The other two teams, the Cowboys and Seahawks, both had opportunities to clinch playoff spots on Sunday, and they both shit the bed. The Seahawks lost to a team they shouldn't have in the 49ers. Sure, they had controversial calls, but it's the 49ers with Nick Mullins as quarterback. And we already discussed the sorry Cowboys who got shut out in Indy. All right, and I got one team to address for should they be worried, my version of a panic, don't panic, and that is the New England Patriots. In the headlines, I mentioned that they lost to the Steelers 17-10 in Pittsburgh. Gronk just flat out doesn't look effective. He's been being torched in the public, saying he looks like a shell of his former self. They are facing playing in the wild card for the first time since 2009. And is this the beginning of the end of an era for the Patriots' domination? Should they be worried? I wouldn't go as far to say the beginning of the end just yet, but I think they definitely should be worried. They're used to using that week of rest. They have a recipe for how to prepare for the playoffs, and that includes that week off. I'm saying they should be worried in terms of the yearly goal of the Patriots to compete for a Super Bowl. I think it is in jeopardy big time. They look human for the first time. This is right around the time they usually start turning it on and being very difficult to beat. And I just don't see them being the team to beat in the AFC anymore. So I would be worried if I was a Patriots fan, but it's all relative. They make the playoffs every year. Most of us would kill for that. All right, time for Who You Got and What You Feeling. It's my chance to make a few picks, and before I get to those picks, let me recall the ones from the previous episode. Looks like I'm already incorrect, but I tried to pick who would end up as the number 1 seed in the AFC. Candidates, of course, being the Chiefs, Patriots, and Texans. The Patriots have the head-to-head advantage over both, but currently sit at number 3 behind both the Chiefs and Texans. I thought it'd be the Patriots, but it's not looking good for them. They might even miss out on a first-round bye. It's looking like it's actually between the Chiefs or the Chargers. Whoever wins their division is looking like the best team in the AFC and ready to clinch home field. Which hopefully it's not for the Chargers because they don't have much of a home field. The game of the week was the Chargers and Chiefs, and it sure lived up to it. It was on Thursday night. I went with the home team, picking the Chiefs. It was looking good for a little bit. But I was incorrect. The Chargers won 29-28. We all saw what happened. It was down to the wire, but I thought the Chiefs were a good pick because they would have wrapped up a lot of things in the AFC had they won, but that's why they play the game. And this week, I wanted to change it up a little. I didn't have any games to pick because I'm stressed out enough watching the Cowboys suck it up. But I wanted to pick who needed a bye week in the playoffs the most. So, the NFC candidates, and we'll keep it to the number 2 seeds. The candidates for the 2 seed in the NFC are the Rams and the Bears. And in the AFC, they are the Texans and Patriots. Of course, like I just mentioned, the number 1 seed in the AFC is probably going to be the Chiefs or the Chargers, whoever ends up at the top of the AFC West. And in the NFC, it might be safe to assume that the Saints will lock up the number 1 seed in home field advantage of the NFC. So, out of the candidates, who would need a bye week the most? Out of the NFC, it's quite the toss-up. I think both teams need to gain some momentum, so rest might not be good for 2 young teams like the Rams and the Bears. But I think the Rams might need it a little bit more. To see them fall to number 3 would be quite the loss of confidence heading into the playoffs, and I think for their sake, they would probably at least want to secure a 2 seed after doing so well all year, and I think Sean McVay would get them right after a little kind of struggling to the finish line at the end of the season. And in the AFC, I kind of already went over it. Who needs a 2 seed more? Definitely the Patriots. The Texans are used to playing in the opening weekend. They can handle it, but the Patriots have not since 2009. I think their recipe calls for getting a bye week, and they have that part set. But if they have to play the opening weekend, I wouldn't be surprised to see an upset or them not make a deep run. But, of course, I could be eating my words here. I thought this one was a little interesting as we head into the offseason or close to it for a lot of teams. I wanted to talk about the better job for an NFL head coach. I wanted to weigh, since the Green Bay Packers job has opened up after the firing of Mike McCarthy midseason, I wanted to weigh a potential head coaching candidate's choice if they had one in job. A young, up-and-coming team where you get to establish the culture versus an established team with a quarterback. So an example of that young, up-and-coming team establishing the culture would be the examples of the Los Angeles Rams and Sean McVay, or Nagy and the Chicago Bears, or this upcoming vacancy that'll be left in Cleveland for the Browns, who have young pieces waiting for the right coach, versus the one that's already established, being the Green Bay job, has a star quarterback, arguably the best quarterback in the NFL, an established culture, ready to win now, expected to win now. Which one's better? And I have to go with the up-and-coming job, the job like Cleveland's will be heading into next year. While the offer in Green Bay seems so enticing, getting to be paired with a legendary quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, who will walk into the Hall of Fame first ballot, would be such a tremendous opportunity. You could get tied to all the accolades that could potentially come, but with that comes expectation to achieve those accolades, and not the same leash that Mike McCarthy had. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl and got as many chances as he did because of that. A new coach heading into Green Bay is expected to win, and win now and not waste those years of Aaron Rodgers, whereas a job like Cleveland, you could make a huge impact and a huge difference in their win total, a la Sean McVay in LA, and establish a brand new culture for years to come, but won't be expected to be competing for Super Bowls right away. Maybe just starting with smaller goals like making the playoffs seem more enticing and more of a natural step than getting thrown to the wolves, so to speak, with this and being paired with a star quarterback and his expectations. So I'm taking the job with a young up-and-coming team like Cleveland versus a job with an established star like Green Bay. That's it for my picks here. As for what I'm feeling this week, definitely feeling the ugly Christmas sweater, bar crawl this past weekend with my friends. Such a good time. Always a good time getting any excuse to drink excess alcohol with buddies is fine by me. So I'm definitely feeling that. You know how I like to close each episode. My 2 much cents. The advice I love giving. That's usually more than 2 cents worth. So it's my time to educate the people here. And this week, it's about who you surround yourself with. If you're not surrounding yourself by people who genuinely want to see you happy and see good things happen to you, why are they in your life? A person in your life can't be one who is upset just because something good is happening to anyone but them. Those aren't the people you want in your life. You want to strive to be one of those people that's genuinely happy for others and their successes, while still surrounding yourself with people just like that. So that's my 2 much sense for this week. Surround yourself with good people and people who want you to do well versus people who want all the good to happen to just them. All right, one more time for the people, the sound that you'll be hearing from now on.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Yeah, I love that. This has been another edition of Creme Brulee, the number 1 podcast in your headphones. As always, I appreciate all the listeners. Please share this podcast with a friend, someone who hasn't heard it before, and check out our other podcast by Holyfield. And we'll talk to you next time.